Welcome back to the Strength and Speed Podcast. This is an all Conquer the Gauntlet Pro Team episode. But before we introduce our guest, we want to say that this episode is brought to you by the Conquer the Gauntlet Pro Team, and we want to thank all our 2017 sponsors. So we had a couple of sponsors this year. We had Mudgear. You'll know them from their Mudgear socks. And if you head over to mudgear.com, you can pick up a pair of the CTG custom socks and use code CTG Strong for a discount. Harbinger Fitness, makers of things like dip belts and weight vests, great for improving strength training for OCR. Atomic Climbing Holds, the best tool, I think, for improving at OCR, the actual rig grips that we use both in our race and for training. Rock Tape, they're the makers of the KT tape, so if you get injured or you want some injury prevention, great solution there. Juice Performer, they make beet and cherry juice. There's also a code on our Conquer the Gauntlet Pro Team Facebook page. I believe it's 1CTGBP15, and that gives you 15% off an order from Amazon. And then finally, Marina Sport. They're the makers of our compression clothing that we've been wearing at a lot of these races, both pants, calf sleeves, and shorts. All right, let's get to it. So on the line we have Brenna. Say hi, Brenna.
Hello, everybody. Glad to be back for one again.
And we also have Randi Lackey, another member of the Conquer the Gauntlet Pro Team.
Hello.
So this episode,
Yay.
So we've been having technical issues for quite some time. This is the second time we tried to record this, so I'm happy we were all on the line. And we want to talk about the Conquer the Gauntlet Tulsa race that was held, about 2 weeks ago-ish? Actually, end of August, right? Yeah.
Yeah, 26th and 27th of August.
Yes. So we want to talk about that, but first, let's tell you a little bit about Randi. Randi ran track and cross country as a gymnast and a cheerleader and also played softball. At her first Conquer the Gauntlet in Oklahoma City in 2013, she took first place while being in her first trimester of pregnancy. Seems like our team has a habit of winning while pregnant. Anyway, so since then she's won 6 Conquer the Gauntlets, so I believe that makes her the most winningest female in the series. And
Rub it in.
And I think Brenna's in second with, what do you got, 5, 4? What are you at?
I've got 4 gloves and 1 win, so yeah, 5.
She might catch me this year.
And then,
I'm trying.
And then Randi's also got another 4 podium finishes at CTG. She's also been on the overall podium for Spartan Race, Rugged Maniac, and Warrior Dash at various events. She was the 2015-2016 Roadrunners Club of America 10K champion, finished in the top 3 at numerous triathlons, marathons, 10Ks. She's a mother of 2, was ranked the top 10 in the OCR World Championship rankings when they were still doing that 2 years ago. And other than that, just qualified and got entry into Boston. So, Randi, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And congrats on the latest qualification there for Boston, because I know that's something pretty special.
Oh, I had to wait all summer on that. I qualified back in April, and then registration opened last week, so I've just been a nervous wreck all summer, hoping to get in.
So what was your actual qualification time? And then what was the actual standard?
It was 3:35, so I was almost 10 minutes under.
Oh, you're good. So for those who don't know, Boston puts out a qualification time based off your age and gender, and you run a race, and if you're underneath that time, you can submit your results. But what they've been doing for the last couple of years, because they've had so many athletes submitting times, they actually do a rolling entry. So, they'll start at, if you beat your time by more than 15 minutes, they let you in. If you beat your qualification time in more than 10 minutes, they let you in. And then it usually ends up you have to beat your qualification time by, about 4 minutes to actually get in. Mm-hmm. So no longer, like previous to 2011, it was just if you qualify, you're in. And so great job, Randi.
So now you just don't know. So you have to run as fast as you can, I guess.
That's right, yeah.
So, and I shaved off almost 30 minutes from my last full marathon, but I was just like, this is 26 miles. If I'm going to put in that much work, I'm just going to give it my all and try to run as fast as I can. So had no idea what to expect this time.
And that's awesome. Boston Marathon is, I've run probably around 17 or 18 marathons, and the Boston is by far the best. Like, there's 26.2 miles of people, like, on both sides of the road. It is awesome.
Yeah.
And not so exciting for you, but when you pass through Wesley College around mile 13, there are girls lined up on the side of the road that have signs that say, "Kiss me, I'm a freshman, kiss me, whatever."
Oh, my gosh.
So, like, the dude in front of me was stopping and kissing all the girls, which is awesome. We're running like a 7-minute mile pace, and the guy in front of me is like stopping for kiss girls, and I was like, that's commitment. So
just make the best of it.
Anyway, let's talk about you, and let's talk about the Tulsa race. So when and what was your first OCR?
My very first OCR is in 2012. So we were having our 10-year high school reunion that summer, and one of my friends at the reunion came, and he had just won a Warrior Dash, and so we started talking about, OCRs, and I just couldn't believe, because I was running at the time, but I was like, you're going to run through mud and up and over things and all that, and it just sounded so crazy to me to do that in the middle of running. But he was trying to talk me into the Dallas Beast, in which Dallas is about 4 hours from here. So that was really one of the closest ones to me. So I thought about it for a couple of months, and then finally just decided, what the heck, I'll just try it. So we went down there with a group of us, and my first OCR ever was, the 13 miles. So kind of a crazy one to start with. Of course, their obstacles are a little easier than CTG. But then, I didn't know what to expect. I wore like a cotton shirt that ended up being about down to my knees by the time I was done because it was soaking wet and, they stretch out. I had these old Nikes that probably weighed 20 pounds each by the time we were done. And I'm pretty sure it took us 4 to 4.5 hours, which I ended up getting like 11th overall. I didn't do the elite wave or anything, just out of the regular runners. But
that's what I was waiting for you to say that you wanted a podium like that.
No. Well, by the time you run, because you can choose whatever time you want in the day. I think we went at like 11. So there were so many people that you had to pass and all that stuff. And, I eventually found out run in the earlier waves and you'll have an easier time. Don't have to pass so many. But, yeah, so that was kind of the first one I did. And then Trevor also talked me into doing a Conquer the Gauntlet. So that was my next one that I did. And actually, when I did that one, I signed up for the race. And then a couple of weeks later found out that I was pregnant. Went into another doctor's appointment, and they said, well, no, actually, you're not pregnant. This is a bad pregnancy. So we'll go ahead. They wanted to go through with a surgery to remove, it's called a DNC, which is what you do whenever there's a bad pregnancy. They said there's, no baby there. They wanted to go ahead with a surgery. Well, I decided, I'd already signed up for the Conquer the Gauntlet. I was going to do that race. And so I was like, no, I don't want to go through with that. I don't want to have to be recovering from anything and have to miss the race. So I was like, I'll put off the surgery and let my body do what it would naturally do, which is miscarry. And then the Friday before Conquer the Gauntlet, I went into the doctor, and they did another ultrasound and everything. Well, there was a baby. There's nothing wrong. She's almost 4 years old now, but a perfectly healthy baby. Just the blood tests were a little bit off, and I think it was just a little too early, and the doctor kind of jumped the gun a little bit.
That's
but
crazy.
I went ahead and, yeah, it just, like, because I would have gone through with the surgery because that's what my doctor was telling me to do. But I was like, no, I don't want to have to, you know, recover from this. And I chose the race over that. And so he, you know, he told me, well, you're early enough in the pregnancy. I don't think it's going to hurt anything and I don't think he knew what Conquer the Gauntlet was either, because he told me it was fine to go run it. So, you know, I did. But yeah,
that's
so
crazy
it's pretty crazy. So I kind of have to give Conquer the Gauntlet some credit for Addison being here, because otherwise I would have just done what he said to do.
That's unbelievable.
Okay, that's definitely like a miracle baby and a CTG baby for real right there.
No kidding.
Wow.
And
I've never heard you talk about that. That's crazy.
So you've been on the overall podium pregnant. Ashley's been on the overall podium pregnant. So I guess if you want to have a baby, you should be on the CTG Pro team and get on the podium. So Brenna, whenever you want to let us know about the exciting news, you can go ahead and just push that out. So
I'll let y'all know. Yeah, keep it. You're a little longer, guys. Just kidding. Let me throw that out there. Just kidding.
All right. So you get a couple of OCRs under your belt. What drew you back to Conquer the Gauntlet? Because you seem to be you were a staple on that, even on that race series, even before you were on the pro team.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it was just the challenge of it, because I had tried several different races. And you know, some of them were just not quite as challenging. And then I had some trouble with the Stairway to Heaven. So when they first came out with this series, they didn't have the belts and all that stuff, and you'd go and watch people trying to do the stairway. Nobody could do it. No one could figure it out. So it took a few races before people kind of caught on to the technique and all that stuff. And so when the first race where I conquered it, you know, I didn't use my hands. I used like my whole arm to go all the way up, and I just kind of bear hugged each rung and then got over and then bear hugged all the way down. And I was just in shock when I completed it, but oh my gosh, it took me probably 2 weeks to recover from trying to do it that way, because I just completely tore up my arms. And so I was like, there has to be, you know, I have to have a way to practice this, because I wanted to keep going to these and improve. And I'm out here kind of in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing like that at all. So my husband he was like, all right, well, we'll just go build one. It can't be that hard. And so we steadily just have added things to our backyard and all that. But yeah, we started with the stairway, and I think that's kind of what drew me back, because it was just so hard, and it just bothered me that I couldn't do it very well. So
tell people where you live.
Where I live?
Yes.
I live in Fairview, Oklahoma. You've probably never heard of it. But it is in northwest Oklahoma. I think we've got about 2,500 people here. The closest Walmart is 45 miles away, if that says anything. So, but I mean, we've got like a grocery store. We've got a Dollar General, and we've pretty much got what we need. We're just pretty far from anything, any big cities, I guess.
How far are you from, how far would you be from Tulsa, per se?
Tulsa is about 2.5 hours, 3 hours, and then Oklahoma City is about an hour and 45 minutes. Wichita is about 2.5 hours. So, yep.
Yeah, you are out there in the middle of nowhere, and that.
Yeah.
I guess that was another reason, kind of, that you went to CTG, because they definitely, if people don't know, they're Midwest and kind of in more obscure places, but OKC and Tulsa and Wichita are all three places that they hit, so you're able to get
Yep.
So we mentioned.
And so were you? Oh wait, sorry. I was just gonna say, were you one of the first, or I know Nikki called, but were you the first female to complete CTG?
Yes. And actually, Nikki and I were at the same race the year that they started having everyone wear belts. It was 2015 when they started doing the belts, I believe. And Oklahoma City, let's see, they had a race in Kansas City that year. That was their first one, and it was just a muddy mess. So they had a few male finishers, but they didn't have any females at that race. And then the next one was Oklahoma City, and that's when they had their first female finisher. And it was just Nikki and I that finished, so there were just two of us women. So that was the first one that I had won a glove at. And then Wichita was the next one. So I went ahead and went to that, and Nikki and I were the only two women that finished that one as well.
Wow.
That was a good race. That was my first CTG podium, too. So it was.
Yes, that's right.
It was Nathan Bryce, or Bryce and Nathan. I can't remember who was first, who was second. I was third. And then it was you and Nikki first and second.
Yeah. Yep.
The original, the makings of the pro team right there.
Yep.
That picture is actually in my book, that podium picture. So.
Yes, it is. That's right.
So you've got your mini CTG course in your backyard, and it started because you couldn't do stairway. What does it look like right now?
Okay, so right now I've got a stairway. Pegatron gave me some trouble. Let's see, they brought that out in 2015 as well, and that was one of the first races where I didn't keep my belt. And it was raining, it was lightning, it was such a crazy race. And then Pegatron was pretty close to the end, and everyone's hands were just kind of a muddy mess. So you can imagine it being slick, and no one knew what to do. No one could figure it out. I think they had 5 men that finished it that day, but no one had the right technique down. We were all trying to figure out what's going on. So we built that in the backyard, and then they used to have what's called a dead man's drop, which is just 2 2x4s. You remember that one, Evan, because they had that at Wichita.
Yeah.
2 2x4s together, and then you had to kind of traverse it with your legs hanging down and just use your hands.
Yep. So it's just like, it's kind of like Savage's pipe dreams, but with 2x4s. And as it gets, depending on, if it's early in the day and it hasn't been raining, it's pretty easy because it's nice and dry. If it's later in the day or it has rained, people have tracked mud across it, it becomes significantly harder. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually lucky enough. I did that one. I think Dallas was the last time they had that last year.
Oh,
and
yes. I think that's right.
It when it was wet and terrible, but I do remember that.
So I have those two, and then I also have a hang on, I just went blank. What is the
black line?
Like a rig. It's what we used to call the rig.
Swing.
Tarzan swing, yes. So I have a Tarzan swing, but what they used to do is it was over water, and then they had like a ring. They had a couple of rings and then a rope that didn't have a knot. And so you can imagine people falling in the water. They'd get up, they'd try again, and that rope would just be soaking wet. And so it was almost impossible to grab it with your hand and get through to the next one because your hand would just slip right off. So that's one we built because I had a lot of trouble with that. But they've taken it down since then, and they don't do it over water anymore. So it's changed. It was pretty tough. So I actually almost broke my hand on it in my backyard one time, so I don't use that one a whole lot anymore. Because I figured out that the best method is just to wrap your hand around the rope.
Yeah, lock out.
Well, one day I didn't make it to the next ring, and so I'm just hanging there by my hand with this rope around it, and I can't touch the ground. So luckily Oliver was there to pull me down, but kind of crushed my hand.
Yeah, that's a good method, but again, it is also really dangerous because I've trained that way too, where I just lock out my arm, and especially if you're a heavier athlete, that's the bones in your hand are only so strong. So if you weigh 200 pounds and you're hanging from your hand bones, it's probably not going to go well.
Yep. And swinging, too. So.
And for those of our listeners who don't know, there's a video of Randy actually doing the men's lane on Pegatron, which I'll try to reshare when we post this podcast, which is pretty impressive. So, No
and
big
to clarify
deal.
for those that don't know, because, well, the difference with the men's and the women's. So the women's lane of Pegatron is the 8-foot section with footholds, and then you have the 8-foot section with no footholds, and then at the end there's footholds. But the women's lane has a 4x4 post about 3/4 of the way through that if you make it that far, you can reach and kind of like take a little breather and put your feet on the post. Mm-hmm. So that's how the women's is different. The men's, there is no post. So that's what makes Randi extra badass, is that she did the men's side.
Well, and I swear that post gets further and further away from the middle. So one of these days, I don't know who puts it there, but it used to be in the middle. I'll
put blame on Nathan, but that might not.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
It kind of is. And we're just preparing. You never know what happens next year. So
I know. One of these
might
days
not have a
it's gonna
post. So. Those girls are getting better and better, so we got to be prepared.
Yep.
Well, and then, so do you have monkey bars in your backyard, or those were just too easy for you, so you didn't need that?
Well, that's the next thing. I need some spinning monkey bars. So, but no, I'm kind of running out of room. So I'm not sure what to do next. But yeah, we've got we have parks in Fairview, so I can always go to the park. Believe it or not, we have like 3 parks here.
So besides your mini course that's in your backyard, you also have some guests that live back there. Is that correct?
A couple, yeah.
So we call you in the protein page. We like to call you the chicken lady. So I guess explain.
We or Evan?
I call you the chicken lady. It's just me.
I think HB picks up on it. A few of us go with it.
So explain to people why I call you the chicken lady.
So I've got a few chickens back there. Okay, so I've got 8, but don't share this with the city council. We're only supposed to have like 5. So actually, when I first got chickens, we weren't allowed to have any. So I went to the city council meeting because there weren't really any rules on that. And when I plead my case or whatever. And they said we're allowed to have 5 chickens now, but I'm at 8 because, they die easily. So I need a few for backup.
Well, I was going to say, did you want the chickens because you wanted chickens as pets, or you're actually using them for eggs?
Well, I mean, I get 5 or 6 eggs every day. Of course, we eat at least that. So really, I would need 20 to keep up with the amount of eggs we eat. But I don't know, they're kind of like little puppies. And so it's like having 8 little puppies around, and they do tricks and stuff, and then they poop breakfast. So you can't go wrong.
So I'm from New York, so while I know some people listening are from the Midwest, so 8 chickens is probably not a lot, but to me 1 chicken is a lot. Like no one where I grew up had chickens.
Yeah. Well, you need a chicken then. I'll bring you one. I'll bring you one to Kansas City.
Hard pass.
Oh my God! I'm going to ask Tracy if I can have a chicken.
You should.
I'm trying to follow your footsteps.
The best part is their names. So what are the names of your chickens?
Okay. Well, Ashley Samples decided to name one of them. And so I've named one for her, and his name is, they're all girls. Her name is Cluck Norris. And she's one of my favorites because I ordered these rare breed chickens online, because you can order chickens online and kind of get whatever kind you want, and they'll ship them. You have a minimum order of like 15. They'll ship them to the post office, and then you go pick up this chirping box of chickens. I know it sounds crazy, but that's where Cluck came from, and she has a big mustache. So I'll have to send you a picture of that. And then I've got Feather Locklear, Jennifer Aniston.
That's my favorite.
We've got Whoopi Goldberg, and then a Beyonce. She has the most tail feathers out of any of them. Then I've got one named Snoopy, which she's a rescue. We had a lady that got chickens for her kids for Easter, and apparently they're not allowed to have chickens where they live, so we adopted her. I've got one named Angel that my daughter named, and then Chocolate. And Chocolate had a friend named Caramel, but Caramel ended up being a rooster, so That's a whole nother story there. We had him for dinner.
Amazing.
Yeah. It's been such a learning experience, but yeah, it's kind of wild.
That's crazy. And that's I idolize how awesome and badass you are in racing. And then now that I'm also myself living in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, I think I got to do like Randy does, so I'm doing these outdoor middle of nowhere road and field runs and going dove hunting and four-wheeling, and now I'm going to get a chicken or two or
yes,
three or
perfect.
8.
You'd be complete.
I actually have a chicken house, I think, out here. I think that's what that's for.
Perfect. Well, if you ever need advice, I've learned it all, I think.
I think others might start calling you the chicken lady now, just saying.
All right, so let's get down to business. So recently Tulsa had Conquer the Gauntlet on Saturday. There was the normal Conquer the Gauntlet race, one of their biggest of the year. And then Sunday was the team race. And in order to have to run in the team race on Sunday, you had to do the Saturday race also. So, Randy, I guess let's start from the top. Take us through, kind of who was on your team, and then, what the team race was like for those who weren't there, which is myself.
Okay. So we put together a team. Well, you had to have at least one female. Every team did. So I don't know if that was to slow everybody down or what, but every team had to have a female. And then my team consisted of Trevor Zimmerman. So Trevor was on our team, and he's my friend from high school I grew up across the street from him as little kids, and he trains really hard. So he was one on our team, Miles Keller, and then we had Freddie Thompson. And so we all had to run Saturday. So, we were all a little bit beaten up on Sunday. I had twisted my ankle pretty bad and still feeling that. But I think everybody, it was a great idea to have them run on Saturday because we were all kind of in the same boat. So, do you want me to walk you through the race? Or?
Yep. So take us through, what made it a team race? What were the obstacles and kind of what the order was and what was the most challenging, most exciting, et cetera?
Okay. Let's see. Brenna, you may have to help me remember everything. So we started out, and they kept the obstacles from the Saturday race. They kept them there for the most part. So, we started out with the 12-foot wall. You could help each other on that if you needed help. But everyone that ran Elite Saturday, had to do it themselves Saturday. So each team had a different color. You were all assigned a different color, and they gave you a bandana with that color. So we ran up to some posts. I think there were 4x4 and 12-foot long pieces of wood.
So they were actually, I can clarify, they were 6x6s, and they were treated lumber, about 12 feet long posts. And that was right after, remember, they had a rubber roadblock without all the tires.
Oh, that's right. Yes, so they cut the tires off. I think they had, 2 hanging from the top, and I was too short to grab them. I couldn't jump up and reach, so we could help each other out with that. And then next we went and dug up our post. They were all buried in the ground, so we had to dig it up, which sounds easier than it actually was. And then these posts were, I don't know what they weighed, but they were so heavy. And our team, for the most part, was about the same height. I was shorter than most of the guys, but I think that kind of benefited us a little bit because, it was resting right on everybody's shoulder. But we had to run with that for quite a ways, and then we took it down into the water. What was that pool of water called?
Polar vortex. Yeah, so that's
polar
basically
vortex, yeah.
Similar to Savage Race, ice bath, basically, in a way.
Yeah, so up the stairs, then take it through the water, and then back down, and then we had to take it over the cargo net, which was so hard to try to lift that thing, and then get our bodies up over that too. We also had to carry it and then take it over the Rockies, which were the 3 slanted walls, and then up a big mountain, and then we were able to drop it. And then at that point, we
this is where it gets
moved on
interesting,
to
isn't it?
yeah, we moved on to the Continental Divide. No, is that what it was?
Yeah, after the hill, we dropped it,
Continental
and then we Divide without ropes.
Without the ropes. So it's a big slanted wall, and then this time they took the ropes off. Well, our team had this all planned out. We all wore shirts because, you know, we knew we were going to have to use each other's clothing to get over. Except that at the starting line, I got hot, and I was like, oh, I think I'll just go ahead and take this off so I don't have to mess with it, because I run in a sports bra most of the time. So I was like, the shirt's going to drive me crazy. I've got to take it off. Well, we get there, and then the poor guys didn't have anything to grab onto. So we stack each other up like we're supposed to, you know, and then I get to the top first, and I'm hanging there, and we're supposed to just, you know, run up the wall and use my body sort of to climb up, which I was okay with all that. But then Miles reaches up, and instead of getting my elite belt, he grabs my pants. And there's probably 4 people going live on Facebook at the time. And I mean, there's nothing I can do because my hands are holding onto this wall. And then, you know, Miles is pulling my pants down. If I let go of the wall, I'm going to go flying down, I don't know how many feet. So there was really no other option. But then he grabbed my belt and got all the way up, and everything was okay. So we got up and over that.
So it's pretty clear. You either show the entire world your ass and win, or you let go and fail the team.
Sacrifice.
The answer seems pretty obvious to me. I mean, you always go for the win.
Yep. And then if I fell, we'd have to start all over, and I don't know how that would have gone. Let's see. What came next? Well, we did a lot of the individual obstacles that we had to go through.
That was the part of the team challenge that kind of made it different, was that, you know, Conquer the Gauntlet, so some of them are so hard, like Stairway and Pegatron, I think, were those the 2? And I thought there was one more. Stairway, Pegatron, and Tarzan, maybe?
Tarzan Swing, yes.
Yeah, that only 2 people had to complete, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and one person could do them twice if you wanted to do it that way.
Yeah, and so that kind of helped for the team element because, again, not everybody can complete those. So did y'all have a strategy going into it that, like, you were all going to try them all anyways, or did one person be like, I got this one, and someone else has that?
Yeah, that was kind of the thing because I just knew I could do Pegatron twice. And so I was like, okay, guys, you let me have this one. I can get us through this one twice, and you guys can save yourselves for some of the other obstacles like the heavy carries and all that stuff. And they had carried the post most of the way, so, you know, they were tired. But I got to Pegatron and got through it once. And then the second time, I just about made it to the step, and then I fell off. And so, you know, the guys were there trying to do it, and we eventually had 3 of us get through it. But our strategy for that probably could have been a little bit better. Tarzan Swing is a lot more difficult for the men, and so I ended up doing that one twice.
I just want to interject. I love your guys and your team, but I must say that you carried the team and did amazing just for that fact that you basically were like, okay, I'll do all the hard obstacles twice.
Well, I had to apologize to him because I think the mama in me kind of came out a little bit. I started yelling, and it's like, I'm so sorry for yelling at you guys, but I really wanted to win, and I didn't know what else. Which, I mean, we split it up pretty well. Like, the guys carried the sandbag. I think Trevor carried it the majority of the way because that's what he had been training on, you know. And since I've got this stuff in my backyard, that's sort of what I thought I could handle. So, but then we also they changed Crank It Up a little bit, too. So that's the one where you kind of have to put your whole body into it and turn this crank that cranks in like a wheelbarrow full of sandbags. But this time we had to pull in each individual member of our team. So each person had to ride in the wheelbarrow as we pulled them in. So that was kind of interesting for them to do that one.
That was entertaining. I wish we didn't get to see y'all, but it was very entertaining because, like, ours went, Nathan basically did all the cranking of all of our teammates, and then we had to crank Nathan, and he was the heaviest on our team, and he ended up, like, hopping in the wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
Like, he was in it, and he was just, like, hopping every time we pulled, so it was comical. And so what position, how did y'all, I mean, okay, so that's like, I think that was majority of the crazy, there was how'd y'all do on the bucket challenge memory puzzle thing? Explain that a little bit to everybody.
So I kind of failed us a little bit there. So we all had to get on this platform, and then they pulled us up on a pulley, you know. The rest of the team pulled one person up to the top. I don't know how many feet in the air would you say we were? 15, 20?
Yeah. What used to be the more cowbell rope climb. So I think it's 16 or 18 foot climb.
Okay.
And so y'all had to...
So one person gets all the way up there, and then they have these buckets at the top with a puzzle inside them. Well, then there's a lock that you have to undo to get the puzzle down. At the beginning of the race, they told everyone a number, four-digit number, and then you had to remember that number until you got there, and then, you know, put it into the lock, and then you can get the puzzle out, and then you've got to put it together. Well, we remembered the number. I was just kind of lining it all up wrong, and we spent forever at that one trying to get it unlocked, and then it was just, I don't know, my brain wasn't quite functioning because we were in the middle of racing, and I think your brain kind of shuts off a little bit when you're running. So that one kind of slowed us down just a little bit, but we eventually got it.
Well, thank you for that, because you say you spent forever there. We literally spent like 7 or 8 minutes there, and y'all came behind us, and we see y'all up there. I mean, if you hadn't messed up the numbers, y'all would have been either past us, beat us, or right there with us again.
Well, and I think that's why I struggled so much, because I saw you guys right there, and then I got flustered because I thought, this is our chance. This is all on me, and we can maybe catch you guys. And then I just screwed up when I was trying to get the lock undone. So it's just a simple thing.
And coming through the end, so I guess there was slack line everybody had to do. And, I mean, y'all were sitting, we kind of had a solid, my team, I was in the team challenge, obviously, talking about it, with Napalm, Jeff Yonda, and Matt Campione as a last-minute fill-in. And we had a strong lead. And then, again, we pretty much bombed our, 10-minute lead right there at that challenge with the lock. And then y'all came through, and, I mean, I guess it was slack line and, the 5 walls, and I think that was kind of rounding out the finish of it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So slackline, we had a a 400-pound deadlift that we had to do, and so the weight had to be deadlifted in the air by 3 team members, and then one person walk across slackline. And while the person is walking on slackline, the weights have to be off the ground. And so if you have a person that just fails slackline over and over and over, well, that wears out the people holding the weights because they were heavy. So luckily, pretty much everyone on my team got it the first try. So we got through that pretty fast.
Wow,
and then the
awesome.
5 walls, they had a sandbag. So the sandbag, not a sandbag, a punching bag. It had to go up and over every single wall with us. And it couldn't touch the ground.
And for those that don't know, 5 walls in Conquer the Gauntlet, Walls of Fury, it's 5 8-foot walls. Those are brutal enough in any race. But add a, 90, I don't even know what the weight of that thing was. Again, I didn't have
person,
to build.
For
but
sure.
Yeah, it was a very heavy job to get over, and yourself, too, at the last, quarter mile of the race, for sure. And then Stairway was at the end, so did you complete,
Yes.
Did you do it twice for your team?
I think we were all so excited to see the finish line that all 4 of us did it. Just no questions asked. We just all did it.
What was your final placement overall for the team event?
So ours got second.
What was your team name?
Strength and Speed.
Boom. Crushed it.
Yeah, we were representing.
I felt like that. I was jealous I wasn't on the Strength and Speed team.
Well, Miles had represented Strength and Speed when we did the Terrain Relay 24. So when he signed up for this one, he asked if they could use the name again. Mm-hmm. So even though I wasn't going to be there, I said, go for it. So.
We were sort of Oklahoma's version, I guess, because all 4 of us were from Oklahoma. So.
And did you wear? I think I gave a couple. I had my last remaining Strength and Speed tattoos. I handed out to y'all, so y'all could at least have something.
Thank you.
But that's what Randi and I, for those that don't know or didn't follow along for Tulsa event, her and I both got first and second both days. So I miraculously, by miracle, beat her on the Saturday event, and then our team won on Sunday, and she followed suit with second on Saturday and second on Sunday. So that was pretty awesome.
And then Lauren Woodcock, it was kind of funny how that worked out, because Lauren Woodcock was third female Saturday, and then her team was the third team Sunday.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Well, that's awesome. It sounds
a cool event.
That's awesome. It sounds like a great event, and I was very upset I had to miss it. I was up in Chicago running Toughest Midwest, the final of the CBS televised event. So, I unfortunately they had to schedule on the same day. So,
well, yeah. I bet they do it next year. I hope. I really hope they do. It went pretty well, and I think they'll have a good turnout next year if they decide to do that. So.
Yeah, so if you're listening to this and you want to participate in the team challenge, make sure when you talk to the owners, you let them know to put on another team event, because it was awesome, and it sounds awesome. So, anyway, before we take off, we're starting to run low on time. A couple more questions I wanted to ask about you personally, Randi. So you are one of the leanest athletes I know, like for men or women, right? There's like a picture of you going across Pegatron, and your back is just like all ripped up.
And then the front side, too.
I feel like most of the ladies, and probably a lot of the guys, too, want to know, like, what's your diet like, and how do you maintain such a lean physique, but also be capable of racing? Because I know I've gotten my body fat super low, but I feel terrible a lot of the times.
Yeah. So. I don't know. I've struggled so much with that. It pretty much comes down to I just try to eat, anything that's natural. So anything that comes from the ground or has a mom, kind of, I guess, is what I go by. But I'm not 100% either, because I definitely let myself have something if I am craving it. And actually, I don't know if you want me to go into it or not, but I guess you can always edit this out. So about 10 years ago, I've been married for 10 years. But while I was planning my wedding, I just got super stressed, I guess. And, everybody wants to look perfect on their wedding day. And I had been working out a lot and everything. But I really started dieting heavily, and I completely cut myself off of like sugar. But that was one of my favorite things, was sugar. And so I found myself just on the weekends binging on sugar. When I'd let myself have it, it was almost like I couldn't stop. And so that kind of started like a little bit of maybe an eating disorder problem. And then I actually worked in mental health for a while. So I worked in an eating disorder hospital for a while after, kind of in the midst of all of this, I guess. And I think part of what drew me to that job was that I was kind of in the middle of it too, and maybe wanted a little bit of help. So I guess that job kind of allowed me to see the worst side of eating disorders, and I realized that I was kind of on the wrong track, and if I didn't stop myself, from this and get better, then I was just going to end up kind of like some of the patients, and I was, they go there, and some of them are on their deathbeds, just starving themselves, and it was just kind of a horrible experience. And so from that, I've kind of learned to not limit myself on, or not cut anything out of my diet, because I crave sugar a lot. I'm kind of a sweets person, and so I figured out that if I just kind of let myself have a little bit, I don't crave it as much. But I pretty much just kind of stick with trying to eat healthy, and then if I want something bad enough, I'll let myself have it.
Well, thank you for sharing that, because now I kind of know that you are human.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on kind of
sugar.
a long... Yeah.
So that's impressive.
As a hard training athlete, you know, sugar is fuel for the body. You know, there's a difference
Yes.
between sitting on your couch just eating spoonfuls of sugar or, you know, spoonfuls of ice cream and then going for a long run or a hard training session and then having sugar immediately afterwards. Because if you have the sugar immediately afterwards, it's going to go back into your muscles as glycogen so you can race again or train again hard the next day. And it's also going to spike your insulin, which essentially helps build and maintain muscle. So I think, you know, when people blanket statement like all sugar is bad, I mean, it's not true. I mean, when you're racing, you know, when your body's in that elevated state, that's fuel. That's fuel for your body. Or post race or either those last 15 minutes right before a race, it's fuel for your body. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, I think very interesting, very good story.
Yeah, I've just learned you can't really completely cut something out. You know, it's not all black and white. So you can't say that something's just horrible and completely cut it out, because guess what you crave? You crave what you're trying not to eat. So just a little bit here and there is okay. And but yeah, I really try not to cut anything out. And I run probably 40 miles a week. And then I strength train on top of that. So you have to fuel your body. I eat a lot. I just try to make sure I fill up on healthy foods first, and then anything else later. And I managed a pool this summer, so I was around, you know, the chocolate and all that kind of stuff all day long. I was around junk. But I just told myself, if I really want a Snickers, it's all mine if I want to have it. And it's okay to give in once in a while. So.
And that reminds me of the other nickname I have for you, which is Wendy Peppercorn from The Sandlot. Because I imagine Randy sitting at the pool in the middle of, like, small-town Oklahoma.
Oh, my God.
You know, with the blonde hair and, like, all, like, muscular and lean. And, like, little children, like, little boys are running around, like, gawking at her. So.
I think they're actually kind of scared of me. I don't know.
That's awesome. Evan's got great nicknames for you, Randy. And now I hope they carry on, that other people listen, and you're going to be like at a race and you're like, oh my gosh, it's the chicken lady.
So before we wrap up this all Conquer the Gauntlet episode, Conquer the Gauntlet has 2 more races left in 2017. So there's CTG XDC up in Kansas City at the end of September. I believe it's the 30th. And then there is CTG, the last Texas race, which is 21 October at the YO Ranch. So if you went to the U.S. Championships and want revenge on that course, CTG will be there, so you can head that up. Randy, will you be at either of those 2 events?
I'm going to try to make it to both. I'm definitely going to be in Kansas City. So.
And let me clarify, there's actually 3 events if you count the fact that XTC on Saturday, and then on Sunday, CTG is doing their first ever event called a Scramble. And so real quick, it's basically right there for the XTC course. Conquer the Gauntlet sets up in a smaller area, like a shorter course, because it's combined with another race. So it's like 2 races come together, and part of the course is CTG and part of it is XTC. So on Sunday, they're doing a Scramble, and it's kind of like choose your own adventure. Everybody starts at the same spot, and then you get to pick the order of how you want to do the obstacles. So you strategize what obstacles you want to do first. Everybody has to complete all the obstacles to win. So that's going to be on Sunday. There's actually 3 events, but you, again, have to do Saturday XTC to do Sunday Scramble. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, definitely good save there, Brenna. Totally forgot about that. I actually will not be at CTG XDC. For those who were not there last year, it's such a good course because the first third is all XTC, so there's a lot of natural obstacles. You actually run through a bus at one point. The middle third is CTG, right? So it's 2 miles. So the normal 4-mile CTG course with like its 20 hard obstacles is compressed into 2 miles, and it's in a field.
It's
so
awesome.
It is brutal. When I was running through last year, I swear I almost fell on stairway. I was like, my arms, because the stairway was the second to last thing before 5 walls, and my arms were completely pumped out. And then the last third, say again?
It was after Pegatron, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the last third is XDC, so it goes back into a lot of natural obstacles, a set of monkey bars, stuff like that. So, cool event. Super awesome. And then the scramble, it's not only CTG's first scramble, I think it's the first scramble ever, right? So that's kind of a big deal.
Hang on real quick. With it being the first scramble, I've got word from like some other race series out there that they are jealous that we're the first to do it because they want to do it, and they're excited to see how it goes because they want to do it. So I won't say who, but just saying that CTG is making moves.
So I think what's cool about that is, again, everyone comes to – we have our obstacle-heavy people and our run-heavy people, and there's a lot of people who come to obstacle course race, and they're like, oh, I wish there was less running. All right, well, now there's no running. It's just obstacles, right? Like, the only running you're doing is between obstacles, and the obstacles are pretty much touching each other. So if you want to show your obstacle prowess, make sure you come out to Kansas City, and it'll be – by the time I'm going to push this out this weekend, so it'll be about a week from now.
And I just want to say, Randy, I'm love that you might make both KC and Texas, but I'm kind of sad because I was hoping that there was no way you're going to Texas, and that would give me my last chance to get the gauntlet and beat you.
Well, it's on then. No, I'm not sure about the Texas race. It's pretty far. Well, I guess it's further for you to go, but I'm still undecided on that one.
Well, I love you, but I'm crossing my fingers you don't show up because Tulsa gave me more money, and it was very, very close.
Before we get out of here, Randy, any big plans for 2018?
Oh, gosh, Boston, but I've just been so anxious about that. I didn't know if I'd get in for sure or not, so I haven't really looked much past that. But, I mean, of course, CTG's pretty much everyone I can make it to. But other than that, just keep on keeping on.
Just crushing local road races, breaking the heart of some other Oklahoma girls who keep showing up and coming in second. Got it.
I thought you were about to say breaking the heart of little boys at the pool, but never mind.
That too. Wendy Peppercorn. Got it. So before we take off, any final shout-outs you want to give, Randy? Companies, sponsors, friends, family, etc.?
Well, family, of course. I've been training under Jared Renier, so I've got to give him a shout-out. I've been training with him since March. I kind of told him all my goals, and, of course, Boston was one of them, and then improve my game on CTG, and I'm just really enjoying the workouts. He comes up with something for me to do every single day. And he's added a lot of speed work, so it's really been great to train with him under J-Run Fitness.
Cool. Brenna, what do you got?
I want to give a quick shout-out to X Racewear and Brian Shumler. For those that don't know, X Racewear is the main title sponsor for clothing for OCRWC and the U.S. Championships, and I had the pleasure of meeting Brian at the first World Championships in Ohio, and we've become close friends. He's amazing. The company's awesome. They do many great things, and I got one of the awesome hoodies in Texas for the U.S. Championships, so I'm ready for it to get cold. I've never said that before, but to wear my hoodie and see what they have in store for all of us in Canada. So, yeah, X Racewear, keep doing what you're doing because we love it.
Cool, and I'm going to give a quick shout-out to Dryrobe. I just sent them 2 articles that should be going up on their blog sometime in the next month, and also have an article coming out in the publication called Milo. There's a website called IronMind. They specialize in strength training, so really weird stuff like arm wrestling and single-arm deadlifts and, pinching plates, all sorts of crazy grip strength stuff. And I stole a lot of the concepts for how I train forearms for obstacle course racing from the website IronMind. So they have a publication that comes out, I think, every other month maybe, or quarterly, something like that. And I have an article that's going to be going into them, and I've been in, I think, their last 2 magazines. So I actually need to pick up copies of those because I can't even remember what I wrote and what pictures I sent in. But I'm pretty sure the Conquer the Gauntlet team is mixed into those articles, so I will let you guys know.
Because they're probably in there somewhere.
Yeah, because I always solicit for pictures from you guys and from the Strength and Speed group. So I can't remember what pictures I sent in, but I'll check it out, let you guys know in the future. So keep an eye out for IronMind and keep an eye out for Dryrobe. I think that's it. Thanks, everyone, for coming on the show, and we will see you next week.
Thank you, Randi. It's been awesome, and thanks for sharing your stories.
Thank you.
Down.